chains are kind of always the wrong length. You can't do crossbody. Chanel Mini is too small. Chanel Jumbo is too heavy. Chanel 22 looks like a trash bag. Hey guys, welcome to my channel. I'm Jess. I think over the years there's been plenty of it bags and they've kind of grown in popularity and then fallen out of fashion and all that. I want to talk about today bags from different brands that I think are overhyped and what you should get instead. So first brand is Gucci. Now many years ago, the Dionysus, when Alessandro Michele came to Gucci, he made the Dionysus bag very hyped, and I saw a lot of influencers unboxing this bag in suede versions, in the monogram with that very strange little horseshoe buckle on the front. The strap drop, which is a bit awkward, you know, in the small size. It's not the most functional bag. It's a little bit heavy. It's a bit bulky. To me, I think this bag was a little bit overhyped. It's now, I think the retail is now 5,000 Australian dollars. It is a lot. And I wouldn't recommend this bag to most people personally, because I think that the style of it, it's kind of a bit weird, to be honest. Like, this is just my opinion. I know this is going to offend some people, you guys, but I have actually owned one before. I got it on sale, and mine had these like elephants on it, but I always felt like it was like too big, the small size, and then I didn't like how you couldn't crossbody, and the chain was very uncomfortable. But it was such like a popular bag for many years, and a lot of people hyped it, you know, and I just feel like actually the better bag you could have got if you're obsessed with Gucci is honestly the Gucci Disco bag. Like, to me, this is such a practical bag, and if you're into Gucci, I would say the Gucci Disco is like a no-brainer bag. Great for going out, great for days where you need to go to the shops, lightweight, easy. And it has, I have noticed that the Gucci Disco is now discontinued. You can get the Gucci Blondie, which is a similar adaptation of that. But if I had to choose between the Dionysus and the Blondie camera bag, I would choose the camera bag, because I can see that being a little bit more timeless. It's a bit more simplistic, still has the Gucci logo on it. Really, really easy bag. You can have that bag for years. It's lightweight. It's like, you know, not too flashy. But it's still a bit of a classic, and I think everybody could find a use for a disco bag. So I think for me, the disco bag, it's not the most expensive bag from Gucci either. It's still, I mean, Gucci has gone up a lot in price. You can still get the disco one on the pre-love market for really good deals sometimes. But yeah, I think, you know, forget about the Dionysus, guys. Get the disco bag. I think that's like really practical and easy to use. Now with Saint Laurent, I saw that the Nikki bag was very hyped for a while. The reason why I don't love it is I feel like the way that it sits is kind of awkward. So it has this like magnet in the middle, particularly with the medium size. It has a magnet in the middle, and the leather kind of seeps in at the middle, and it makes the flaps like flip up like this, and it looks quite awkward to me. Also, a lot of the bags have a leather coated logo, and I find that with these logos, the leather wears out on the logo very fast, and the metal corners start poking through very easily. And I just think this bag looks a bit sloppy in design. Although it's cool, effortless, it actually came out before the Chanel 22, which has a similar vibe, like a trash bag look. I see the appeal in it, but I really don't think it looks as nice as, for example, a Lulu bag, which is now said to be discontinued actually. But even the more rectangle Lulu, I just do think that this looks a bit nicer. Or even the puffer Lulu, I would opt for a puffer Lulu or a regular Lulu over a Nikki bag. The Nikki bag, it doesn't wear very well. It does look a bit more edgy, but I think the Lulu, it wears better. It looks nicer, and it looks a little bit more elevated to me anyway. But anyways, that's just my opinion. What do you think, guys? Do you prefer the Nikki or the Lulu or the puffer Lulu? I think the puffer Lulu is actually the nicest one. It has really beautiful soft lambskin, and it is really soft to like hold. Like, if you ever feel a puffer Lulu, it is super supple, it's super squishy. Whereas the Nikki bag, yeah, it feels like a trash bag kind of feel. Like, it's okay, I get it, it's a bit more grungy. But the puffer one, yeah, the puffer Lulu, it's really nice. And the puffer Lulu really set off the trend as well for the puffy bags, which, you know, you had the Chanel 19, you had the padded cassette and all that. The Lulu was like one of the main ones that really set off the trend. And I still think actually out of all the puffer bags, it's one of the nicer ones, because it has full grommets, so you can wear it on your shoulder as well. similar to the Nikki, but yeah, I just think it looks a bit more elevated. Louis Vuitton Pochette Matisse. To me, this bag, it was quite problematic when it first released, so it was one of the most hyped bags on YouTube for a while. And the reason why I don't think this is like the best bag is the hardware on the front gets scratched up really fast. It's also very awkward to close. Unless you have your bag full, it's very weird to shut. Like, there is no structure to the canvas, so when you push in the little metal plate thing, it doesn't really click in properly because there's no structure to the bag. So it's like the design of it is quite weird. Unless you put your stuff inside, then you can close it. But it doesn't feel like it was very thought through with the design, because I know there's some like vintage Louis Vuitton bags with the same S-lock, and the S-lock feels much more substantial than what is on the Pochette Matisse of today. And it just feels like, yeah, it feels a bit chintzy, I would say. Then also at the sides, there's the lacquering issue. Of course, a lot of bags were recalled, I think, I don't know when it was, 2019. I can't remember, guys, but you know how a lot of people had that lacquering issue where the lacquering was melting? There was something wrong with the mix. Yeah, and then you have the cracking issue with the lacquering at the sides as well, because people often like jam their bags open like this. Not even. Some people were quite careful, but it still kind of cracked. So this bag, it was quite like hyped. It was really overhyped on social media, but it ended up having a lot of issues. I would say a better pick for me would be the Diane bag. Not only does it look a little bit cuter in my opinion, I think the magnet on the front is much easier to use. I mean, it still has that very elevated kind of buckle look. Also at the sides, it doesn't have lacquering. It's actually finished at the sides with leather, which I think allows for more longevity in the bag. And I just think that the Diane bag, it looks a little bit, it's still a take on a vintage style, but it's very cute. Like, I would say if I had to start my Louis Vuitton collection again, the Diane would definitely be on my list. And yeah, it's a really, really nice bag. So for me, I think forget the Pochette Matisse, go for the Diane. But that's just me. I also like, I think that buckle looks a little bit nicer and it wears better than that logo, which scratches up really fast. With scratched logos, I'm going to say, I mean, I still kind of want this bag, you guys. It's the Constance bag from Hermes. I'm going to say this is slightly overhyped. Why? Well, honestly, guys, if you have a Constance bag, you have to get used to the way it opens. You kind of have to flick the latch open. But to most people, when they first get a Constance, they find it very confusing to open. I think that in itself is a bit cumbersome. And if you have nails, if you have diamond jewelry and all that, the logo is going to get scratched up in no time because you're constantly trying to open it, and that like logo on the front, it gets scratched up very, very easily if you've got it in the gold or the palladium hardware. Of course, you can get like enamel hardware and different variations. That probably wouldn't have that issue, but yeah, the Constance bag with the metal kind of plate at the front, yeah, it can get scratched up and it's quite annoying to open and close. That being said, it's a very iconic bag. Part of me still wants to get it, but I would say instead, in terms of practicality, the Mosaic bag, I do have this bag, but I just thought of this as an example. It is much easier to open and close. So you just push it like this, and it still has actually a hidden H logo in there, but you can't really see it. But this bag is not hyped at all on social media. I don't know if you can still get this in the store. It could have been just like one they did for a few years. But I've heard a lot of people who have had the Constance say that the Mosaic is a little bit more practical. It's also a little bit more low-key than the Constance, and I think there does tend to be people who buy Hermes to be a bit more flashy, and they particularly like the Birkin and Kelly and the Constance because they're more recognizable. But if you're somebody who prefers the more understated bags from Hermes, you may prefer the Mosaic to the Constance, which is a little bit more recognizable, and so it flies a little bit more under the radar, which can be good for certain situations where you don't want to be have people looking at you or whatever, if you're in the city or something. So it is a more low-key alternative, and I think that the actual closure of it is much more easy to do, and it comes in sizes like the 17 and the 21, and the 21 size is actually a great size. It's obviously not as bulky as a Constance 24, but it's not as small as a Constance 18. So for me, this is like the perfect proportion, and I find the buckle really easy to use. But that being said, I still kind of want a Constance anyway because it's very iconic. I have a broad statement here, but I would say Chanel bags, new Chanel bags, are pretty overrated. The price point, yes, all designer bags are expensive, overpriced these days, but some new Chanel bags I see, the quality is really bad, and I don't understand. Oh, I don't get it, you guys. I understand Chanel is a fashion brand. They're not necessarily a leather goods brand. If I was going to buy something from Chanel today, it would be the clothes, the fashion, maybe a little accessory here and there. Maybe I would even buy like a micro bag just for the trend. But in terms of like usable handbags that you wear every day, they don't tend to wear that well. They tend to be pretty delicate, a lot of the bags. A classic flap to me is not a super functional bag. It doesn't really fit much. The chains are kind of always the wrong length. You can't do crossbody. Chanel Mini is too small. Chanel Jumbo is too heavy. Chanel 22 looks like a trash bag. Chanel 19 is like, you know, a bit of a trendy bag. So I don't know. For me, I find... Yeah, I'm going to offend some people here, but I find Chanel is very overrated. And that's why I'm kind of not into it as much anymore. I know there are people out there who swear by vintage Chanel, you know, Chanel pre-2008, all that, the quality was better. Gold hardware, all the construction was better. I would agree. If I was going to get Chanel again, I may opt for a vintage piece. But then again, I prefer the aesthetic of Hermes, so that's why I put my money towards that instead. But for me, as Chanel, I think it'll be really interesting to see what Mathieu Blazy brings to Chanel, if the quality improves, or even if the designs become a little bit more innovative, because I guess the only innovative thing that Chanel has done over the past few years is the gold ball design. I think the adjustable strap design was actually a little bit, it was quite innovative, that gold ball. As annoying as it doesn't really work that well, but it was a bit of a fresh idea, I would say, from Chanel. So something like that, something that changes the way people use bags. I think it would be great to see something like that from Chanel, and I do have hope actually that things will change for the better, but I guess we'll have to wait and see. Let me know what you think about my personal opinions. If you like this video, give it a thumbs up, and I'll talk to you guys soon.